Hey guys, hope you're all doing fine today. I'm going to make a video replying to an email. I received this email back in August the 20th, so I'm a little bit late. Today is October the 3rd, 2021. It's been 73 days late on this reply and being really busy. So remember, this whole thing that you see, the Milky Way, is moving to the universe. So Earth moves along with the universe at 1.4 million miles per hour. In one day, in 24 hours, Earth moves along with the Milky Way 33.6 million miles, a day. So this email was sent on August the 20th, and today is October 3rd, 73 days late. So now you do the math, 33.6 million miles a day times 73 days equals to 2,452,800 miles late. So it's crazy to say I'm 5 kilometers late or 10 kilometers late. But what the point I want to make is how crazy the heliocentric model is, that 2,452,000,000 miles away from the day that he sent me the email 73 days ago. So we have moved through the universe, almost 3 billion miles from the point I got the email to the day I'm going to email back. See how crazy this whole notion of heliocentric model is? And the reason I'm doing this is just to make sure that this guy understands that how crazy this stuff is. We haven't moved an inch because Earth is motionless. We don't move. All right, so let's go ahead and reply to this message. This guy, he sent this mail to me and said, please stop using Google Flights to show the flight path on a sphere. You've been told this many, many times that it doesn't draw the correct routes, but you keep using it. Why? Google Earth is the best tool, but if you absolutely have to use Google Maps, then use the measure distance tool. It will actually draw a great circle. You can see the difference between the two routes in the attached screenshot. So this is what I do. For example, this is a flight from Washington, D.C. to Tokyo. It's a ANA Airlines, Japanese Airlines flight. And this is the route of this flight according to Google Maps. Now, you guys remember that Google, doesn't matter if it's Google Maps, Google Earth, Google Satellite, it's all a CIA agency. And when you talk CIA, you're talking about Jesuits, because CIA imitates what the Jesuits do. And I believe that CIA is 100% a Jesuit too. So, just remember the same guys who gave us the heliocentric model is giving our program that we can use to enforce, of course they will do this stuff.
But I'm glad you brought up the relationship between Google and the state, because this is a relationship that goes back all the way into the early 2000s, if not earlier. As one example, this year, Google spent $21 million lobbying the U.S. government, but that's perhaps the most overt example of this relationship. And the real relationship is actually more covert. In 2003, Google got its first NSA and first CIA contract that we know of. Another, even more glaring example is that a spy satellite that's actually hovering above us as we speak was actually designed by Google, and now Google is the sole provider of the NGA, which is an NSA sister organization for satellite intelligence software. They essentially created a Google Earth for the military through this $27 million contract. And what you just saw there was the Google logo on this missile that launched that satellite into space. Yes, so Google is, in a way, it's been said that Google is the eyes of the U.S. military machine. And more recently, and perhaps more controversially, this case is a little bit more well known. In 2017, Google was contracted for something called Project Maven, which was the Pentagon's attempt to make make their drones a little bit more autonomous. So it's one of the contractors that actually gave AI to the U.S. drone program and helps the U.S. government target people for assassinations. About a dozen employees actually resigned over that issue, but I think that really speaks to the unknown origins of Google as this entity with a very big relationship with the state. The fact that it was so controversial that Google employees said, we don't want to be a part of this, we don't want to resign, but really that relationship really does go back decades.
Right.
But not only does Google have a relationship, but Google's origins actually go back to the military. This was a time when the intelligence community was predicting that people would move together online and aim to track and identify those people. So when Google was launched in 1998, this is what the intelligence community was seeking to do. So Google was actually born out of NSA and CIA research grants for mass surveillance. In fact, Sergey Brin, one of those co-founders that just transitioned out of his role, reported directly to representatives of the intelligence community during the development of Google, because of course the intelligence community saw this great company as a way to have a network where people could be tracked so that groups and people who may pose a threat to what, who knows, that's the question, right, could be identified and tracked before they did so.
So anyway, let's go back here. You see this flight on the ball Earth, according to Google Maps, and this is another shot from the top. You see how this flight goes through the United States. It doesn't even cross to Canada. It goes over like Washington State, and then way below you see those islands in Alaska. You see how far down he flies until he reaches to Japan. Now he's gonna say, no, you shouldn't use this. You gotta do the Great Circle. Well, this is the Great Circle route according to the globe model. Right? You see how this flight goes from Washington D.C. to Tokyo, way above, across Canada, and then north of Alaska, really north, touches the tip of Russia there, and then approaches Tokyo from the northeast, right? This is how it goes on the Great Circle. Now let's compare the route according to Flight Radar. Another company that gets all the data from NASA. So this is the flight path according to Flight Radar 24. See how this flight leaves Washington D.C., doesn't really cross through Canada. It flies over like Washington State. And then see how far down south of the islands in Alaska it flies. And when finally gets to Tokyo, approaches from the east, right? Let's go back here to the Great Circle route. Look at how this looks like in the Great Circle route. This is the correct flight route according to the globe believers. So what's going on here? And this is another screenshot from Anna. Same thing, it flies over the region, Washington State, doesn't even go through Canada, way south of the islands in Alaska. So this is the flight route. So let's compare now these two lines on the Great Circle route. What's going on here? It really looks like the one on Google Maps. This is the flight route according to Flight Radar and according to the ANA, the Japanese airlines. Let's compare here, side by side. The yellow is the flight route according to ANA and according to Flight Radar 24. And you compare now with Google Maps and the Great Circle route. So it looks like Google Maps has it correct, not the great route. So what's going on, guys? You globe believers, what's going on here? Oh, you gotta fly this flight. Don't use Google Maps because, Google Maps is not right. You gotta do this Great Circle. So what's going on here, globe believers? See how wrong you guys are? Your arguments are really stupid. Now let's compare with the flat Earth map. I say the red line is the correct route of this flight. It's the shortest distance between 2 points. It's a direct flight between Tokyo to Washington, D.C. According to Flight Radar, which a lot of you say, no, this is the correct one. Look at the purple line is according to the Flight Radar. What's going on? Why are they making all this circling around? Instead of going straight from A to B. That's another proof that Flight Radar, it's just another tool of deception. This is the correct the flight route according to the flat Earth map. It's a straight line from point A to point B. That would make sense. Airline is not in the business of wasting time and fuel by flying around doing routes like this one here, the yellow one. So this is not economical for the airline. It takes more time, more fuel. So what's going on here, Globe Believers? So this is all for today, guys. This is just a reply to this email. It's flat, just like the Bible says. We don't move through the universe. Everything circles around us, not the other way around. Stay safe. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.